Here's this generally a conservative talker from Dave Portnoy's Barstool Sports. Listen to this.
I always do the left or no. Right now in 2025 at 10:06 on September 18th, the extreme right are the biggest group of pussies that has ever existed in America. A bunch of because people with green hair at Starbucks and because once in a while a fucking guy swam against girls, you fucking pussies have broken in half, led by the duo of Donald Trump and consequence culture Portnoy, who is just waving his arms at the right to like him again after the thing last week where he said it was Trump's fault, privately and publicly, that Charlie Kirk died. Now he's like, I got to get them back. I got to get them back. I got to get them back. Typical, I will say, fits the tribe profile.
I had never heard of that guy, but his name is Kirk Minihane, and he's with Barstool Sports. And he, previous to this, was all in support of Donald Trump, liked the things that he said. But now it's weird when these guys have fully damn near implemented their fascist takeover of the country. There's a couple of light bulbs going off. I'm glad he's speaking out and finally seeing some of the realization of what's happening. But it's kind of too late now. I mean, suddenly now he sees the problem with them directing you to then think about the one trans woman that's in all of sports in the country while he picks your pocket. So while he's picking your pocket and then now taking people's First Amendment rights away, because once they see Jimmy Kimmel getting their rights taken away, they're like, wait a second, hold on. I think he can come after white guys too. Here's some answering questions about some of that criticism.
Charlie said, that there was no such thing as hate speech. He obviously, no one anticipated what happened to Charlie, but you have always been in favor of free speech. Yeah, so do you have concerns about, some people look at this and your critics will say, well, this crackdown is a crackdown on free speech?
It's interesting. I watch your show and I watch others and I see people saying things, they're crazy. These people are crazed lunatics, even the way they'll answer, it's like, you'll see them, and the things they say are really bad, but they look crazy. They're almost crazed. Maybe they're drugged out. Maybe there's some other problem. But the kind of things you hear, actually you probably don't put most of them on, but the kind of things you hear are so unbelievable. You wouldn't think, you're a very regular person. I am too. I'm a regular person. Who would make the statements that they make?
The question was, what do you have to say to your critics who say this is a crackdown on free speech? They're crazy people. They're lunatics. All you see the crazy things that they say. I can't believe it. What kind of people are these? You're a regular person, Martha. I'm a regular person too. And these people must not be regular people. Can you believe the things that they would say? Maybe they're drugged out. Answer the question. He won't answer the question because the answer is, yeah, this is a crackdown on people's free speech and I'm coming for more of it. Just look at all of my posts. I don't know. Maybe we should pay attention to what he's doing rather than that gibberish bullshit, departure from reality that he had when someone very basically asked him, what do you have to say to your critics? He can't even say what he'd say to his critics about having a crackdown on people's free speech. But this is an indication of what it is that he's about. And we saw that indication when he was talking to this Australian reporter the other day.
That it is appropriate, President Trump, that a president in office should be engaged in so much business activity.
Well, I'm really not. My kids are running the business. I'm here. You know what the activity, where are you from?
I'm from the Australian Broadcasting Corporation, Four Corners program.
Well, the Australians, you're hurting Australia, right? In my opinion, you are hurting Australia very much right now. And they want to get along with me. Your leader is coming over to see me very soon. I'm going to tell him about you. You set a very bad tone. Well, go ahead, John. Maybe you can set a nicer tone.
When the UAE does a deal, what does it want in return?
Quiet.
When asked about his building of wealth off the backs of Americans while he's in office from that reporter from Australia, he said, where are you from? You asked one too many follow-up questions to cut through all of my lies. It didn't start with Jimmy Kimmel. It didn't start with this guy. This guy's been preaching about how he's going to suspend people's free speech for anyone that he doesn't like or that harms his lies. That was one of those people that was harming his lies. And for some reason, he can tell this guy, yo, I'm going to tell the leaders of Australia that you're setting a bad tone. Man, these guys are weak. Remember, the guys who walk around talking about how they're tough guy MAGAs, they follow this little baby bitch. That's who they follow. So this is what happened to that Australian reporter after he threatened him with telling on, like, I'm a tattletale on you with your leaders. Like I said, Donald Trump was over in the UK for that state dinner. Australia's state broadcaster has been barred from attending Donald Trump's press conference in the UK this week after the president clashed with their journalist. The Australian Broadcasting Corporation's London Bureau was initially cleared to attend Mr. Trump's and British Prime Minister Keir Starmer's joint press conference on Thursday, but officials later withdrew the broadcaster's accreditation. The broadcaster said Downing Street Media withdrew that, citing logistical reasons. The ABC London's bureau is still accredited to attend Chequers. However, Downing Street Media has said it no longer has a spot at the joint press conference due to logistical reasons. So, you get asked about all the money making you're doing, and you threaten a reporter and then have it carried out for when you go on your international trip. It's like he didn't want to answer the question because the answer to the question is damaging. Just finish putting that together. Here's more from this barring. Australian politicians backed up lines and urged Prime Minister Anthony Albanese to stand up to Trump. The Greens Senator Sarah Hanson-Young said Mr. Trump was trying to bully the media and Australia. Independent Senator David Pocock said for stronger defenses of press freedom. He called for them, That doesn't include the leader of another country thinking he can report journals to our PM for asking hard questions, what he then posted on X. Since he's started this onslaught on people's First Amendment rights and has gone after a bigger name as far as Jimmy Kimmel on ABC, and then they fell for it. It's not like they fell for it. They were a part of it because they wanted to kowtow to his dictatorship. Like we said before, he has to take it another step further. This is what he said on Air Force One.
That's something that should be talked about for licensing too. When you have a network and you have evening shows and all they do is hit Trump. That's all they do. If you go back, I guess they haven't had a conservative on in years or something, somebody said. But when you go back and you take a look, all they do is hit Trump. They're licensed. They're not allowed to do that. They're an arm of the Democrat Party.
All they do is hit Trump, and they're not allowed to do that. Does that sound like the First Amendment to you? So you can't do that because I'm a little baby. He's a fascist little baby who can't take criticism for the things that he's actually literally doing wrong because he doesn't want accountability. He's never had that in his life. He's never had to live with the consequences of his actions. Also, the politicians here are the ones who are too cowardly to do or say anything as well. John Thune is one of the leaders in the Republican Party, a senator.
Should the FCC be encouraging stations to take down shows that the administration disagrees with?
Well, my preference would always be let the companies make economic market decisions. And, obviously, if they've got shows that are losing money and they don't have an audience, I think they'll come to that conclusion.
Do you think it's appropriate for Brendan Carr to threaten the companies if they didn't take action?
Find you guys.
If you couldn't fully tell about that second question that made John Thune, powerful Republican leader, Senate leader, run away, was when they asked, should Donald Trump and his regime continue to silence people? Well, I mean, if the company wants to make that decision, that's not what happened, bro. And then he runs away. Similar to how Bill Cassidy ran away when he was faced with his support of this president as he acted like he's not. Now you've got more propaganda. Look at Kayleigh McEnany. We were just talking about the First Amendment. And remember how ironclad the First Amendment used to be. And now as he's whittling away at it, listen to what she thinks about how dismissive it is.
It's just a shame. And he should know better as a grown man in show business. People are acting like, he's just some homeless guy screaming things on the corner. This guy is at ABC. When's the last time ABC tolerated much, let alone this?
Right. I'm watching some of the liberal networks. I've never heard them care about the Constitution so much. Their First Amendment. This has nothing to do with the First Amendment. This has to do with the business decision, as you noted. And for all the concern about the First Amendment, I mean, they're apoplectic, Jesse. What about all the amendments that Charlie Kirk lost? Because Charlie Kirk has no amendments right now, none. And the outrage I see over Jimmy Kimmel, I wish I would have seen that for the death of a father and a husband who should still be here.
Yeah, they got their priorities all out of whack.
All they're doing is proving the point that so many people are saying. You're literally using that shooting from last week to piggyback and enhance this authoritarian regime. You know who doesn't have any amendments left? Is Charlie Kirk. How about all those people that died of COVID? How are their lives going? How about the people that you've kidnapped and taken off the streets and sent to unknown gulags that have died and have gotten sick and have been sent to foreign countries, and we're never really seeing what happened from that? We're not even focusing on that anymore. But you see the way that she downplayed the First Amendment? They keep talking about First Amendment, free speech, as if it doesn't mean anything. Do you see how fascism takes hold? That's what normalization of this type of stuff gives you. It eventually has people on Fox News that will tell you that, look, Jimmy Kimmel should have had it right, which, by the way, he did. But then, number two, this same company was sued and lost for $787 million for lying over and over and consistently again about the stolen election that was not stolen, but they'll still talk about how the election was stolen and still have the nerve to get their faces on TV and say, Jimmy Kimmel's lying. This can't be allowed to go on. Someone needs to be fired. Licenses need to be taken. But Fox News and their big-headed morning show guy, Brian Kilmeade, just called for the murder of homeless folks. And then it happened right afterwards. And that asshole went on TV last night and still talked about this same story to bash Jimmy Kimmel as his president continues to try and overrun people's rights. Here's another example.
Mr. President, you said earlier this week that the women who yelled at you, who were protesting when you were at Joe Stonecrab, should be in jail. Do you actually think that that is an offense that deserves jail time?
I don't know how they got in there, but certainly I thought it was very inappropriate. And they said things that were and it was a question of when you take a look at the way they acted, the way they behaved. Yeah, I think they were a threat.
You think that deserves jail?
Do you agree with it?
I think they're a nasty organization.
But you think they deserve jail?
This is your king? This is your master, MAGA? This is your tough guy? Because 3 or 4 ladies were telling him that he's a fascist and he's the Hitler of our time? And to free Palestine? He's weak. Don't give your power away to small, weak people like him. You're giving your power away to a guy who sucks at everything and is weak-minded. He's soft. He's pudding soft. What are you giving your power away to him for? Why are we doing that?